The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA Network, and welcome to our review show here of Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor 2023 from March 31st, 2023 from the Galen Center in LA, California. Yes, we're continuing our coverage here of WrestleMania Weekend. I'm Karlifornia, one of your hosts, and this is Jooseyboy. How are you, bro?
Oh, I'm absolutely fantastic, and we hope all of you out there are enjoying WrestleMania Weekend so far, and what a weekend it was, and what an interesting show Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor 23 turned out to be. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, my friend.
Yeah, bro, you know what? I just realized I'm getting so in the spirit of WrestleMania Weekend that I'm actually kind of channeling one of these hardcore wrestling fans, because when I said welcome to the WZWA Network, I realized that my armpits fucking stink. So
Yeah.
I'm in the spirit, bro. I haven't had a shower today.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people in attendance at the ROH show today, between them, there was probably one can of deodorant used.
Oh dear, bro. But okay, let's get into it. Did you watch 0 Hour, the pre-show?
I watched the entire pre-show, yes.
Okay, cool. Because the pre-show there, I think it was 4 matches, but
yeah.
Cool Ian Riccoboni, Caprice Coleman opened the show, and the first matchup on the show, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. Never heard of him, but apparently a former TV and tag champ from Ring of Honor. So I like to see ROH people on the show. Mm-hmm. And he takes on again Jeff Cobb. This is the third show we've reviewed and the third Jeff Cobb match that we have covered here. So, bro, why don't you take it away? Let me know what you thought of the opening match on 0 Hour.
Right. First of all, props to Tracy Williams for the nickname Hot Sauce. I love nicknames and gimmicks in wrestling that are just based on things, but the name of the thing kind of has a cool vibe to it, weirdly, so it becomes someone's nickname. I like that. Hot Sauce. Like, how is he Hot Sauce?
Well, it's like, how are you, Jooseyboy? You know?
Yeah, I know. So props to him for that. Tracy Williams, this was my first time seeing him as well. But to be honest, this guy had some fucking skills. You know what I mean? Like, this guy was doing some fucking cool shit on the mat. This guy, I especially liked it when Jeff Cobb went for that impressive standing fucking moonsault that he does, and Tracy Williams grabbed his leg. And it's like, dude, I don't think I've ever seen a standing moonsault blocked that way. That was cool. Anyway, this had the right vibe for the first match of a pre-show. Again, wrestling in accordance with the position that it was given on the card. Good win for Jeff Cobb. He needed it. I rated it a C.
Right. Well, C. Geez, I thought we might have got a little bit more than that, but that's okay. This was kind of more of a showcase for Jeff Cobb, it felt like. Tracy doing his job here and doing it very well. But you know, like I laughed because I didn't know what the card was, and when I saw he was coming out again, I'm like, for Christ's sake, like 3 matches in 2 days I've seen of this guy. But you know, because of that, I really feel like I've become quite a fan of him, because before this, I didn't know anything about Jeff Cobb. So, you know, I think this is what's good about us doing all this coverage, is that it's helping me with my fandom in my bitter state as a wrestling fan. So, yes, a showcase for him. We all knew he was winning. You could tell. And I really love that finisher. Is it called Aloha Means Goodbye? I love that.
Yeah, Aloha means really goodbye. The tilting power slam. You know,
yes, nice win.
Move.
Yeah, so good way to start the show. But Jooseyboy, unfortunately, we're going to have to take a sidebar here, because there was something that I wanted to bring up and wanted to see how you would react to this, because I did not react well to this.
Go ahead.
Somebody said this the other day on Twitter, right? At Jersey Joe Gotch. Look at this ROH card and pick any card from Gabe's glory days, and you tell me which card has more talent and better in-ring wrestling. Supercard of Honor is stacked, and TK hasn't just restored Ring of Honor, he's elevated it. Hashtag AEW. And I replied.
Yeah.
And I said, like, it's not really fair to compare this to Gabe, who didn't have the budget of a person whose father's a self-made billionaire. And
That's for
at the
one.
same time, that's for one. And for two, a bunch of people that are on this show got their start and got discovered in pro wrestling from Gabe's glory years. So your main event has two guys that Gabe used to book back in the day. So if it wasn't for Gabe finding these people, giving them that platform, then maybe they might not be in the position that they're in. Maybe they would find their way either way. But the fact of the matter is, this guy, and he also said, someone had said to him, they disagreed with what he was saying. He said, do you realize how obscure and niche ROH was under Gabe? It was 500 people in a rec center and then watching DVDs months later. That's what the nature of the business was, and that's what the size of Ring of Honor was at the time. Not 500 people in a rec center, though. They were fucking creating so much.
No. 500 people in a rec center. Okay, no, I'm going to address this, right? 500 people in a rec center is like what Pro Wrestling Guerrilla PWG was doing in 2002, 2003. Ring of Honor started in 2002. It's always been the kind of promotion that has at least 600 to 800 people in the building for its shows. And as it's grown, we saw over the years it had quite a few even larger crowds, especially for some of those shows in Manhattan and across WrestleMania weekend. It's a running theme throughout this show as we review Supercard of Honor 2023 that you are going to see that there are a lot of very fitting things for an ROH show that we're going to see on this card. There's also plenty of things that don't fit with the ROH product because they're clearly just the AEW product and the Southern California independent style product transposed onto the Ring of Honor veneer, and we saw a lot of that on this card. So to say that this incarnation under Tony Khan of Ring of Honor not only restores Ring of Honor but elevates it is like a smack in the face to Gabe Sapolsky and not only him but other regimes of Ring of Honor that have come beforehand, which for better or worse kept the goddamn thing alive over 20 years. And just quickly before we move on, how many people on tonight's card worked for Gabe Sapolsky when he was working for Evolve or Dragon Gate or any other promotion like that, let alone Ring of Honor? The guy has made a mark all over the business. He's worked with the WWE. He's worked for MLW, I'm pretty sure. So and a lot of those promotions have used a lot of people that we saw on this show. So it's just a ridiculous and false narrative that you're spinning out of your fucking asshole, Jersey Joe, to try to credit the success, the perceived success that you see of this show onto Tony Khan solely, when the reality is the only reason this show was so successful is because of the 20 years of popularity and loyalty that Ring of Honor built up and has managed to hold on to after all this time, backed by Tony's money. It's not that Tony's some kind of genius booker or whatever.
Anyone with a bunch of money can buy the company and then put a card together and pay people to wrestle on the show. Yes, he's good at making a card of matches. Anyone would be if they've got the budget for it. Doesn't mean that it's Sapolsky would book circles around Tony. Let's be fucking honest.
It doesn't even have to be a direct comparison anyway. It's
no, it doesn't. It's apples and oranges, mate.
Yeah,
it's not the same thing.
The style's different anyway. The style's different.
Give Tony the budget that Gabe had and what he was able to get out of it back then.
He wouldn't be able to. The tag team title match on this card alone, he wouldn't have been able to afford.
Exactly.
Anyway,
let's move on, bro. I just wanted to say that because it really pissed me off that someone was going to start making comparisons about Ring of Honor's past when, geez, look at how many people from that company ended up main eventing WrestleMania, etc. Anyway, okay, Nigel McGuinness comes out to join commentary. That's a nice surprise. Got to
see him.
Bit of Nige. Okay, coming up next, Takeshida takes on Willie Mack. So I'm going to take this away, bro. First question that I wrote, Why is Takeshita on this card? He's AEW.
Yeah.
I don't agree with AEW referees refereeing Ring of Honor. Didn't Ring of Honor have a group of referees before they got taken over? Come on. We need some separation. We need Ring of Honor to have its own identity. We can't be having half of this card be AEW guys and people that have Ring of Honor titles showing up still on AEW. Now's the time. Ring of Honor have their TV show. Now it's time to separate the rosters, okay, and keep them separate for the foreseeable future. If you want to do any swapsies, you can do that down the line, but we're not doing shit like a big draft or anything like that. Give it its own identity. That's the only thing I want to say. And I'll keep whinging about it as we go forward. Mm-hmm. So we know Takeshita's going to win because he's under contract and Willie Mack is not. So we get dive number 1, dive number 2 from Willie Mack. And I kept count on how many dives are on this show, bro. Takeshita did not catch him properly. So I wasn't happy about that. And I really wanted Willie Mack to win. I thought this match went a little too long for a 0-hour match. It was a good match for the most part. I did not like Takeshita no-selling a stunner from Mack and then kneeing him and then hitting a stunner his own, only for Willie Mack to hit a Shining Wizard. Like, what is going on? What happened to the stunner, mate? There's a lackluster, this is awesome chant. Blue Thunder Bomb from Takeshita, and he finishes him off with a knee to the fucking skull. So, like, it was good, but there were just a few things in there that kind of bugged me. What did you think of the second match here, bro?
Yeah, well, I think if the first match on this 0-hour pre-show could be seen as a preview of the technique that we're going to see in Ring of Honor, this match is a display of the dangerous feats of athleticism that we will expect to see in Ring of Honor if we buy the pay-per-view. Commentators did a good job of hyping up the main show, reminding people throughout this 0-hour that the main show is coming and they should buy it. Really liked the pounce from Willie Mack. I also would have preferred for him to win. Did not like the stunner exchange or subsequent spot at all. That was terrible. Broke the immersion briefly of this match. This did its job really well in that I could see people deciding to buy the main show based on this match. And I gave this a C-.
Very good, bro. Did you notice that the hype videos for certain matches are the exact same style as AEW hype videos, but with Caprice Coleman or Riccoboni sitting there instead of Excalibur with his fucking mask on his head? Like, there's got to be other concepts and ways of doing it, which again separates Ring of Honor from AEW.
They should have like a different TV crew. They should have a different TV crew entirely, man. Like,
that's what I thought too. Like, you got to make it just completely different from one another, as far as I'm concerned. If it's the same, then just call it AEW. Okay, let's move forward. Willow Nightingale takes on Miranda Alize. What did you think?
Yeah, so I thought that Miranda Alize's basement Hurricanrana was cool. Willow Nightingale is over, which was also nice to see, and she plays her part well. The pounce that she did was good. This turned into a very good women's match, and I gave it a B-. I actually thought it was the most solid match thus far on the pre-show. To this point.
Cool. Yeah, you know what? Willow Nightingale there's something super likable about her. I love her theme song. It's like a party. Everyone's dancing, everyone's having a good time. And it gives the opening for someone like Miranda Alize to be a bitch and ruin the party, which is what she did once Willow got in the ring. I thought that was really cool. So yes, they did have a very good match. And I love that gut-wrench powerbomb to finish off Alize. So that was cool. I think Willow's great. She's great. And Miranda's pretty cool too. Let's move forward again. Slim J with Mark Sterling and Ari Daivari. Is it Ari?
We should also quickly mention, just after that women's match, there was a nice package for Samoa Joe and Mark Briscoe. And there was a decent Eddie Kingston's Claudio package. good to see a personal issue surrounding the main event championship match. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, good. So Slim J, Mark Sterling, Daivari. I'm like, again, why are guys who are on AEW on this show? Slim J, I don't know if Slim J's a former ROH guy. I know he was pretty. Yeah, okay, so that's okay then. But why the fuck do I have to see the Dark Order theme song kick in? Stu Grayson with Evil Uno. I'm like, can you not? Where's Colt Cabana? At least it would make sense if it was him, because he's Ring of Honor. Why do we have to have the Dark Order on a Ring of Honor show? Is there no one else? Nothing against Stu. It was good to see him pick up a win. But for me, I'm just like, come on, man. Like, if that is such a signature AEW grouping, right? They don't need to be on a Ring of Honor show ever again. Keep them on AEW. Unless they're moving directly over to Ring of Honor, cool. But if they're not, don't fucking do it. We need, again, that separation. So they're coming out and all the fans are just standing there like this. And I'm just like, fucking hell. I like Slim J. He reminds me a little bit of Jamie Dundee. And I'm really digging his stuff. I think he's a great performer. Stu Grayson, a lot of impressive offense. I think his gimmick still holds him back. And of course, Evil Uno has to get a shine in because Mark Sterling can't ever seem to go over in any situation. I get he's a foil, but it's also good sometimes to like not have anyone get to the manager for ages, so that when you get there, the payoff means a whole lot more. And then after the match, Vincent and Dutch, I think his name was, they come out and stand there and look at Uno and Grayson in the ring, and then nothing happened. Who would do that in real life? You get someone to cue up your theme song, you walk out, and you just stare at two guys that mean nothing. Sorry, but the Dark Order don't mean anything. I didn't get that. What did you think of the main event of 0 Hour, bro?
This match, clearly, when it started right out of the box, it was aiming to get fans pumped up before the main show started in terms of the energy of the match. Evil Uno should just fuck off. Seriously. Get off my screen, you fat piece of shit. He actually drags Stu Grayson down. Like, jokes aside, no body shaming. The guy's body shape isn't the issue. He's just a charisma vacuum, and he drags Stu Grayson down. Slim J looks like a relentless fuckhead and a K-Fed ripoff, and I'm here for it. There's some cool innovation in this match, especially on the part of Slim J. Standing, twisting, sliced bread was a highlight for me. Awesome finishing backbreaker maneuver. I really liked that. Again, I could see people buying the main show based on this match, not the other shit that surrounded it, though. If Rampage was anywhere near as good as this 0 Hour was, it would actually be a watchable show. I gave the match itself a B+ because I thought it was pretty good. Stu Grayson is being wasted in the Dark Order. He's being wasted being associated with Evil Uno. Yeah. And I don't even say that because I dislike Evil Uno. It's just he needs to be out on his own, doing his own thing. He's outgrown the tag team thing. Cool appearance from the Righteous in that the Righteous themselves look cool. There's an aura about them, but I absolutely could not take it seriously at all. Like the camera cutting from the Righteous as the heels back to Stu Grayson and Evil Uno, and they're staring back at him, like looking defiantly at the Righteous. But Evil Uno's got the fucking mask on with the big Evil Uno is he's shit. All right, that's it. I'm sorry. I don't like him. I don't care what people think of that. That's my opinion.
It's just the lowest form of setting up an issue between two teams. Really
boring. And it's like it immediately drags the Righteous down, that I now know that if I'm seeing them, it means I'm going to be seeing the Dark Order. Yeah. So the whole thing is like change the channel energy for me.
Yeah, good call, bro. Let's get on with the pay-per-view. The main show and the opening match, Komander takes on El Hijo del Vikingo. I don't remember how to pronounce it. That might be pretty close, but
El Hijo del Vikingo. That's how I'm pretty much gonna say it.
okay, El Hijo del Vikingo. Oh, forget it. Right, take it away. What did you think of the opening match here?
Okay, well, I was, of course, expecting that this was going to be a flippy-dippy type of match, but I decided I would keep an open mind because these were both Lucha Libre guys. As this thing got started, the audience started doing a Lucha Libre chant, which is not only a dumb chant, but it's also disrespectful to the art form of Lucha Libre, which has existed for over a century and is an extremely refined gymnastic style of wrestling that takes hours and hours and hours and hours of practice. By chanting Lucha Libre because they're doing Lucha Libre-esque moves, you're making a sideshow of it, right? This is something that is an extremely dangerous thing that they're doing in the ring, right? Some beautiful Lucha Libre flavored mat work by these two to begin. The exchanging of the slaps while they were locked in that submission was dumb as fuck. I'm not letting them get away with it, even though it's a lucha match. Besides that, though, this thing felt like a Lucha Libre chess match. They each had counters for each other's counters and counters for those counters. The body control, the bodily control on display by these two guys is extraordinary. The 450 splash off the stage by Komander was cool, and I understand why he didn't land flush and kind of his feet hit the ground and then he did splash. But by doing that, he made the whole flipping part of it redundant because you could have just stood on the edge and done a regular splash. But I saw what they were trying to do. Inverted somersault into the Rana by Vikingo was fucking insane. This is a crazy cruiserweight spectacle, but it's not insulting to the sport. It reminds me of what you might see in WZW in a lot of ways between, say, Rey Mysterio and Supercard. The ring post to ropes springboard counted into the powerbomb was a highlight of me for this. I felt like this was an example, for the most part, of high flying done right, although there were some things that were Double jump inverted front flip was really cool, but it took too long to set up, and they were obviously just waiting there for each other, and it broke the immersion of the match. Powerbomb counter into the Canadian Destroyer on the apron was nuts. Running along the rope and springboarding from that rope that he just run along to the adjacent rope into a moonsault was freaking crazy. Nice to see Komander be countered going to the well too many times. He ran across the ropes, did a couple of moves. He did that twice. Third time he went for it, got counted. That's what happens when you go for things too many times. Your opponent's going to learn. Canadian off the ropes. There was a second Canadian Destroyer in this. Felt like overkill and felt too much. The spot through the table, which was a repeat of the spot Vikingo did against Kenny Omega on Dynamite last week. The 630 through the table felt contrived and unnecessary. And also the table didn't break because both these guys are so small. At this point, it was dragging a tad. However, the hidden ace, the finisher of Komander, was fucking insane. That was a nuts move. I think that should have been the finish. I actually would have had Komander go over in this match. The 630 that finished the match off and got Vikingo the win looked like it fucking crushed Komander's head. That looked pretty dangerous. This was a fun match, and it was two Lucha Libres, so you could enjoy the high flying and certainly appreciate the gracefulness of it. However, how's anything supposed to follow this? It's the opener of the fucking main show. And the contrived nature of some of this dragged its rating down for me from what was otherwise a really awesome match, which is why I only gave it a B.
Right. Fair enough. I have a slightly different take on it, but also slight agreement with you. So I like the early part of the match, but there were times where I thought, what the fuck are they doing? So there's a Hurricane Rana by Vikingo on Komander, and immediately Komander goes to the outside. Immediately we know that there's a dive. Dive number 3 of the show. But when he dives, instead of just laying him out, he catches Komander on the way down, and then nothing came of it. Back in the ring, he allows Komander to drop kick him, goes to the outside, and then dive number 4 from Komander took place then, which looked great. So the table's out, so we know that the spot's going to come with the 6:30 later. I thought 50% of this match was sick, and other 50% is nonsense. It felt like stunts galore. The off the pro springboard and caught into a powerbomb was fantastic, but it was like it was just a stunt was taking place, and then once that stunt was done, and they sold it for a little bit, they were in position to set up their next stunt. It just felt like stunt. The fans were eating it up, but I'm like, this is absolute nonsense. They're not doing a lot between them. They're just doing one thing, and then it's already ready to set up the next big thing, and it's just like, no one's trying to get a pin. No one's trying to win the match. They're just doing these stunts. They're doing everything in the first match, everything possible, but nobody seems to want to win the match. He destroys him on the apron, and instead of rolling him in and trying to get the pin, he's off to the other side of the ring to do his next stunt. He's just destroyed him on the apron, and Komander goes to the other side of the ring whilst Vikingo's on the floor to the other side to run across the ropes and jump onto him. Fantastic stunt, looked fantastic, but makes no sense in what the situation is. You're trying to win a match. And I know people go, oh, get over it. Wrestling's changed. It's evolved. It's not. At the end of the day, the same thing, the same objective is there for everybody. You have to get a pinfall or submission to get the win.
And the matches that get the highest praise from hardcore and casual fans alike are always unanimously the ones that still follow the traditional tenet of making it look like it's a real contest.
Choking on your anger there. Komander gets destroyed off the top rope and conveniently rolls all the way over to where the table is. See, they're setting up each stunt one after another. The table didn't break, which is a shame. He misses a second 6:30. I'm not feeling anything seeing all these crazy spots. The fans were, because they're, that's what they're into, right? But I thought the match went too long. Impressive again with the stunts, but just ended already. It was just a little long in the tooth for me. Good finish with the 6:30. It did look fucking crazy, but I'm just like, man, fuck, whoever has to follow this, it's like, that's the thing with Tony's booking. Like he probably tells them like have the best match possible, but you make it hard for the next match, I'm not saying that people should go out there and have a boring match, but I'm saying like, people need to fucking have a chance to, like the next match, the Embassy 6-man tag titles against AR Fox, Christian Blake, and Metalik. Like they had no fucking hope.
Not Christian Blake. But...
Christian Blake. What is that? Christian Blake's from a TV show or something. Anyway, okay, bro. I'll run through my short amount of notes here, okay? So I thought this might have been Brian Cage's final match with Ring of Honor or AEW, because I know he didn't re-sign, but so I was surprised to see them retain the titles here.
Yeah.
Dive number 7 took place early on. I do think the Embassy are an impressive looking unit, so it's a shame that like they haven't had the chance to really do a lot together if Brian is leaving. I thought Metalik was a little disjointed with Brian Cage, and that seemed like there was some miscommunication between the two of them.
Well, Grand Metalik doesn't speak English, so like
that's probably what the issue was. So I saw a bunch of things in this, and I started to think to myself, okay, and I've said this before, Juicy, I dare the whole industry, the whole wrestling industry, unless like one of these is like a maneuver of yours that like, okay, like we know it's your maneuver, right? Like, okay, no cutters, no sling blades, no super kicks, no rip cords, no apron leg kicks, no destroyers, no code reds, no stunners as transition moves, doing the 619 being thrown into the ring and then coming back out of the ring.
No apron and Zaguris.
Yeah, no apron and Zaguris for 1 year.
Yeah.
Can you all do it?
No back rolling out of German suplexes and no selling them. No bouncing off the ropes and doing the clotheslines.
Yeah, not like, okay, Randy Orton can do the cutter, okay? Tanahashi can do the sling blade because he originated it, you know? The super kick, okay, Shawn Michaels. Whatever, but, you know, it's just like, fuck, man, everyone does the same moves. Anyway, dive number 8, dive number 9, and dive number 10 come from AR Fox. Dive number 11 comes from Blake. It wasn't a bad match, really. We got another destroyer, though. So I think, what's that? Is that 3 destroyers?
That's 4 now.
That's 4 destroyers.
There was 2 in the fucking Lucha Libre match before this.
So Cage gets the pin and they retain. So I was surprised to see that. I'm glad that they did not lose the belts just yet, because I believe I had said the last few Ring of Honor pay-per-views, almost every championship has changed hands on every show. So, bro, what did you think of the 6-man?
I didn't really like it, to be honest. Like when they entered, Brian Cage, though, was immediately popping me. The fact that he immediately started mugging for the camera going, yeah, like that's so stereotypical wrestler, and I loved it. Hated the immediate dives that started this match. Found myself immediately feeling burned out after all the stuff in the previous match, and continued to feel burned out throughout the entirety of this thing. It's another multi-man match again. I personally also find it difficult to care about the trios tag team titles. They've already got trios titles in AEW. Now they have a second set of trios titles in ROH. It's just like, fucking hell. It's almost like there's too many wrestlers in the world now, because they just need to keep inventing titles so that enough of them have something to feasibly chase after and have a reason to exist. Choked out my own rage here. No, but I gave this match a C-. I did not care for it very much, but it wasn't really bad either. It was just there.
Fair enough, bro. It was kind of just there, but I'm a fan of Brian Cage. Okay, ROH Women's Championship on the line here. Athena, the champion, defending against Yuka Sakazaki. What did you think, bro?
Yeah, well, I thought there was a really decent little hype package before this match that made me interested in seeing this match, so that was good. This was a very nice refresher and palate cleanser match after 2 flippy dippy matches before that. And it's 2 people in a singles match that both have a look and look like something, facing off in a contest that they both treated like it was important. I got in my notes here, the crowd needs to fuck up with the Lucha chants. The Luchas at this point were on 2 matches ago. This is now the women's title match. Really dangerous looking cannonball to the outside by Yuka Sakazaki. She went head first, but sometimes shit like that happens. Really nice, solid work throughout this thing by both ladies. Great tit for tat back and forth. There was tons of counters in this match. I kept on wondering which way they were going to go with this. Absolutely loved the big Hoss moment, the triple power bomb from Athena. She ends up getting the win. Very solid title defense from Athena, in my opinion. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch between these two, to be honest with you. And I gave this match a C+.
Very nice. When I saw Yuka come out, I thought, oh, Yuka's pants need to be restitched. These Joshi ladies.
I thought she looked great.
Yeah, no, she did. But I got a kick out of like people like her and Dakota Kai. Most of their pants aren't pants. It's been like ripped to shreds. These Japanese female wrestlers, they all look like dolls, don't you think? Like they're just, there's something about them, like they're just like so perfectly formed to look like like a living doll. It's kind of eerie in a way. It's like someone created them and they're living in society like the whatever. So yeah, the cannonball dive was sick. Dive number 12. You know what? I'm still not really sold on Athena. I've never really got into her or her work. I don't know what it is. Some people I just can't get into. I did like Yuka though. I thought she was super cool. I did like the triple power bomb. Then she tried to hit a power bomb, which turns into some sort of thing with her knees, and she completely fucked it up on Yuka. Yuka did hit dive number 13 off the stage. I thought the match got better as it wore on. Athena retains. Interesting finish. And actually, I wrote it was my favorite match of the show so far, despite my feelings on Athena and how I don't get invested in what she does. So let's move forward, bro. Ring
Absolutely.
of Honor Television Championship on the line. This is where the show picked up for me, bro. Samoa Joe, the champion, defending against Mark Briscoe. I knew this was going to be good. Briscoe's involved. Joe's involved. You put 2 and 2 together, it's going to work out. Don't want to talk about it too much, but every time I do see Mark Briscoe, I feel sick and it upsets me thinking that, God damn it, man, like his brother should still be here. It's just so fucking unfair. But I just wanted to say that because it's the thing that goes through my fucking mind every time I see him. It's just like, it's just too much of a tragedy. Great start to the match. Good seeing guys that can rely on psychology and physicality to get a match over. I like Joe's cutoffs when there's a hope spot. When Mark's firing up, Joe just cuts him off so well. I'm really liking Joe's work here. And Joe's still got a bit in the tank, you know. There have been some matches I've seen of his, you know, since he returned to AEW and Ring of Honor that I've been like, come on, man, like, you know, but maybe he's just being put in situations where he can't thrive. And I wonder how Joe feels physically at the moment because he's still working as hard as he has done in the past because he hit dive number 14 of the show. Then Mark Briscoe hit a fantastic dive for dive number 15 shortly after. Again, always popping at how much noise Mark makes in his matches when he's doing his redneck kung fu. Yeah, match of the show so far. Loved the frog elbow for the two count. The crowd were into it. You knew the crowd thought that there was going to be a title change here. They really wanted to be there for that moment, you know. Sleeper suplex. Mark gets choked out. They wanted him to win. Joe retained. Sometimes it's good that there isn't a happy ending for somebody, but that there's going to be another day coming down the line. There's got to be, you know, those it's got to be like a roller coaster ride, you know? It's got to be those peaks and valleys. Mark will be back. Bro, what did you think of the TV title match?
Yeah, well, this match was the one that I was personally most pumped for as a fan. I do relate to the feeling of just like sadness, you know, at seeing Mark Briscoe. Like, I'm an older sibling. I'm the oldest sibling in my family. I have 3 siblings below me. I mean, the idea of just one day, one of them just no longer being around, never going to see him again, you know, he's not coming back. He's not injured or something like that. He's just never coming back again. And that is something that I think is going to be difficult to, like, look past, at least for a while, until it settles in with time. But both these guys are so fucking authentic and hard-hitting that it makes for the perfect matchup combination. Immediately, this contains that hard-hitting physicality that was synonymous with Gabe Sapolsky's ROH. Fuckface from Twitter. Somehow, older, grizzled Joe is even more fun to watch than Samoa Joe in his prime for me, at least in this context. I think him being older and grumpier and kind of more surly, that for, like, it just works for me. I don't know why. Like, it was just popping me. I liked the chair being utilized by Mark Briscoe in a legal way after Samoa Joe introduced it a little earlier and didn't get the opportunity to utilize it. When the rules are taken seriously in professional wrestling, Tony, loopholes can then be exploited as part of the story. Look at that.
How hard is that?
Joe, as a shrewd tactician, I wrote, works really well. It seemed like he was playing chess and he was working 2 moves ahead at all times. Really cool. Blockbuster through the table, although the existence of the table was unnecessary in my opinion. Great false finish off the froggy bar and great call from the announcers on that move. That was awesome. That actually got me there. Sleeper suplex into the rear naked choke was a great combination for a finishing move. I was a little disappointed that Mark Briscoe did not win in terms of being a fan of the Briscoes, but glad that Samoa Joe won in terms of let's actually keep it on him for a while and have a dominant championship run from him with this television title. I gave this match an A-, meaning I'm in agreement with you. Up to this point, this was the best match on the show for me.
Wonderful, bro. Do you need do you have like a tickle in your chest or your throat?
I do have a little tickle in.
Feel free to like mute yourself if you need to and just let it rip, bro.
Yeah. Just...
Okay. So whilst Jooseyboy gets himself together, the next matchup on the show was a match where Daniel Garcia. And I first wrote, why is Daniel Garcia on this pay-per-view? Again, AEW guy. He takes on Hiroshi Tanahashi, which is always welcome. So Jooseyboy, take it away. What did you think of this one right here? Right.
No matter what anyone wants to say to me about Daniel Garcia, I cannot help but find him a little bit bland still. You know, I just can't help it. He's just a little milquetoast to me. But I see potential in this sports entertainer, not a wrestler gimmick. Let's look at the small details here. He now wears these obnoxious long leather pants. They are a small detail, but they add to Daniel Garcia because they finally give him somewhat of a bit of a look as opposed to the generic boring trunks. I still feel like he's being put in this spot too soon, because I feel like Tony Khan really wants him to be that Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit style wrestler, but those guys were older than Daniel Garcia and more seasoned by the time they were in WCW and places where Tony Khan would have seen him as when he was growing up. The little bit of attempted charisma from Daniel Garcia, though, I like it. The dancing from Daniel Garcia, the idea of a bland, milquetoast technical wrestler desperately trying to appear as though he has more flamboyance and personality was growing on me more as this match went on. The knee kick exchange where they were exchanging kicks to each other's knees was dumb as shit. And again, temporarily broke the immersion here. Nigel McGuinness was popping me on commentary. I liked how he was, again, seemingly in with all the heels and sympathizing with them all the way. The finish to this ended up falling very flat, in my opinion. I like Daniel Garcia slightly more after seeing him in this match. He's been moved up a half a notch. However, I still don't think he was ready for the spot that he was put in on this card, and I don't really know if this was the right placement for this match on the card either. And I gave it a C-.
I'm still muted, my bad. Yes, very nice, bro. I echo your sentiments with Daniel Garcia. So I wasn't happy to see him on the pay-per-view because he's AEW again. You know, again, going back to the thing where it's like I want them to have their own identity. So yeah, I did pop for what Garcia was wearing. So first I'm like, what is he wearing? And then I kind of realized that, you know, he's going down the road of the sports entertainer thing, and at least he is trying, right? He's getting heat He's committing to the character, not being so much of a mark for himself like some other people who want to play a fake tough guy. You know, he goes down this route and he commits to it. So I'm actually, I've softened a little bit more on him, whereas before I was a little bit more bored by him. Probably didn't help that he was feuding with Wheeler fucking Yuta. So yeah, there was a good match. No reliance on dives. Thank you. Nice win, simple finish for Tanahashi. Let's move forward. Ladder match. Tag team titles. The reach to the sky, reach for the sky. Ladder match for the tag team titles. Top Flight, Aussie Open, ROH and Drastico. The Kingdom with Maria and the Lucha Brothers. Here we go, bro. Here we go. The match designed to kill people is here. A match I think has no place on a Ring of Honor show. I don't care if the Briscoes were known for ladder matches back in the day. We don't need a 5-team ladder match a month after seeing another multi-man ladder match at AEW. We don't need to see it. The psychology at the beginning was decent, people rushing to try and get the ladders. And I wrote, let's see how long it takes for it to become stupid and dangerous. I like the fact that I think ROH and Drastico were kind of, or maybe it was the Kingdom, one of the heel teams was staying in the ring, waiting for the opportunity to finally snatch one of those ladders and, you know, stop the other teams from getting in the ring. So like the beginning made a little bit of sense, right? But then we start seeing the spots take place. And I think to myself, everybody seems so sure of everything that they're doing. Isn't that interesting? Like, it's like that they already know what they're going to do before they do it. You'd think that they would, you know, make it seem like that they're communicating with their tag team partner, what they're about to do and what they should do next. Instead of just magically like fucking Penta and Rey Fenix know exactly what they're going to be doing in this exact moment without even saying anything. Like I notice it. They just keep running through their shit. Penta with dive 16, Darius with dive 17, Drastico with dive 18, ROH with dive 19, and then Taven for dive number 20 for a doomsday device on Darius on the outside. Crazy shit, great specky things, specky moves, but again, barely anyone was trying to climb the ladder to fucking win except for right near the end. They're just doing all this dangerous shit, man. I don't know how many destroyers were in this match. So there was a couple before we got to the infamous one that I'll get to in a second. I did like the ROH and Bennett confrontation where they got back down from the ladder, put the ladder to the side and just went at it. Because they're like, well, look, there's no point. We're not going to get the belt at this point. So let's just drop the ladder and let's just fucking go at it. Bennett takes a sunset bomb. There was a moment where Dralistico had so much space, and I have to pick on Nigel McGuinness or maybe it was Caprice Coleman. They try to make up for it, like, oh, he doesn't have enough space for himself to be climbing that ladder to go for the belts. But everyone was way on the outside. He had plenty of time, but instead he went off to do another spot. It really bugged me. I didn't write much after this because I knew something bad was coming, but I wasn't sure what it was going to be. So I'd stopped writing notes because I was kind of on the edge of my seat, worrying what the fuck happened because it was only alluded to me what happened. But this thing that happened with Penta and Dante Martin, like, fuck, how far do these guys have to go, man? It's too much. That was so, like, it's fucking spectacular seeing something like that, but at the same time, it was so dangerous, and the guy has fucking snapped his leg. And on the camera, as Dante Martin takes this destroyer off the fucking ladder that's inside the other ladder to the outside through a stack of 4 tables, and I see Dante Martin's foot facing the complete opposite direction to the way it's supposed to face. I felt so sick. I had to pause it, get up, walk outside and get some air because it was disgusting to see his foot facing the other direction. When is enough enough? I can't handle these multi-man ladder matches anymore, bro. I'm seriously worried I'm going to see someone die, you know? Like Andretti nearly killed Sammy Guevara the other week. I don't want to see anyone get that badly hurt. Everyone needs to start thinking about being a bit more safe with these matches, and maybe we don't see them so often because everyone's trying to top the last one. But at this point, they're a dime a dozen, and you forget everything that fucking happens unless it's something like this here with poor Dante. Fuck, man, he's going to be out for a long time, I think, with that clean break of his leg. Whatever, I don't care what else happened. Lucha Brothers won. At this point, I'm so done with any of those multi-man ladder matches in Ring of Honor or AEW. I don't want to see one for several years. I don't want to fucking see it. I'm done. Bro, I'm sorry I went on so long there. You're probably hoping that you had the chance to have the floor for that one because I know you're probably going to rant a bit too. Take it away, bro. The Reach to the Sky ladder match.
Well, there's a couple of things here. The first thing I want to say is, you know, I'm so over the multi-man ladder matches as well. And multi-man tag matches too. It's just both of them. I'm over them. They've been fucking done to death. And the first point I wanted to make was, back in the day, like teenage me used to be frustrated they didn't do ladder matches more often, and you would seek out Money in the Bank ladder matches or TLC matches of the past to tide you over until the next year WrestleMania or Money in the Bank would come around when you knew that you were going to see another match like that again. And because they didn't do them as often, you were always excited about them. And they still always had an element of danger and risk to them because they are always going to be extremely dangerous. But if you look at the way that the WWE used to do their multi-man matches, ladder matches, and still does, and no, I'm not an e-drone, it's just a fact, they've always got a mix of young athletic talent that can do all the crazy stuff, and they always throw in older veterans that force the pace of the match to be slowed down a little bit. The older guys can be there to hold ladders, help these guys post, provide a bit more common sense and say, look, you know, I know that you guys want to do all this impressive stuff, but, you know, we're still having a match here. You know, that is why you used to see people like Kane, Finlay, Regal thrown into these multi-man ladder matches. Booker T, Christian, Ric Flair. Well, I mean, in Ric Flair's case, he probably didn't want to do it and they tossed him in. But yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. And the other thing was, man, when I referenced the ladder match to you and said, oh, this fucking ladder match, I did not notice the Dante Martin injury. Didn't know that happened at all.
Shit.
I was seriously just saying, because it was such a fucking bunch of contrived bullshit, like this fucking ladder match. That's what I was saying. All right, getting to the match itself, trying to run through this quickly. Lots of obvious cooperation immediately. It was so obvious that everyone was like it was a stage play, hitting their mark, making sure that they were there. And it's good that you have that timing and that coordination and shit, but you're supposed to make it look like it's happening situationally and off the cuff. Because it's meant to be a fight. The ladder sandwich thing they did to the Aussie Open guy, where they sandwiched in between two ladders and did the wheelbarrow double team move, was stupid because he was elevated on the ladder bridge, and that meant there was no room for the guy getting wheelbarrowed to actually move down and land on the guy to make any impact, and there was no fucking impact. So it was completely stupid. What a waste of time. Double Doomsday spot was the spot of the match. That was awesome. Despite everything else negative, I'm going to say that was fucking badass. This is a mostly incomprehensible, garbled mess of gymnastics and nobody trying to win the match. The number of times people willfully ignored an opportunity that was sitting right there to win the match and turned their back to the ladder that was right there where the belts were hanging above so that they could do another spot was fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And then Bennett and Taven are up on the stage with Aussie Open and they're fighting there. And Bennett and Taven end up getting double pile drive it on the stage, and it's this big moment, and the camera cuts back down to the ring, and everyone else in the match is just blatantly standing around. A couple of them are talking to the ref. They're just standing there doing nothing, standing with their hands on their hips, while Aussie Open are fighting on the stage with Bennett and Taven, like showing that while everyone's supposed to be distracted watching that, they're all just fucking standing there figuring out, okay guys, what are we going to do next? Like it's a live Cirque du Soleil show or some shit like that, not as though it's supposed to be a real athletic sporting contest, which is meant to be legitimately happening.
Yeah.
So the whole thing, like, you said that you liked the Bennett and Rush putting the ladder aside thing. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. Once again, they ignore an opportunity to try and win the match, literally put the ladder aside to have a fucking strike exchange. Okay, at that point, I noticed a fuckhead in the front row in a Celtics jersey and a backwards cap, like texting on his phone and not watching the match. Dude, you were in the front row of this massive show, and first of all, why are you wearing a cap inside? And even if it was capable of doing it because it's on inside, you're wearing it backwards, so if there was any sun or light in your face, you wouldn't be blocking it out by wearing it that way. Why are you sitting in the front row texting on your fucking phone, not watching the match? How much money did you pay for that ticket? $400?
Yeah.
Fuckhead.
I hate that too, man.
Even
Get off your phone.
Continuing on though, even though they did a bunch of crazy shit in this match, and that's always going to be impressive on some primitive level, this was just nonsensical. Blatantly, you could see one Lucha brother get knocked off of that ladder bridge contraption and then start holding the bridge ladder from underneath for a full minute in anticipation of a spot that he clearly knew was about to happen about a minute before it actually did occur, because they were setting it up and they were trying to make it look like it was a spur of the moment thing that occurred. But how could it be a spur of the moment thing when the other guy is already sitting there holding the ladder to make sure it's all stable while they set all this shit up? The table spot, even before I noticed the ridiculous injury that it caused to Dante Martin, which I later found out after the match, made absolutely no sense in the context of trying to win the match. He didn't even do it to him to prevent him from going for the fucking titles. He'd already prevented him from going for the titles at that point because he was standing on the fucking bridge. And then would
you need to kill him though? Like a move like that is so dangerous. Is Dante really that much of a threat? I'm going to kill him with this, and then we'll.
It's 4 tables set up. And the way that they're set up is so that Dante is basically going to be landing directly head first, like in the intersection where the tables are pushed together, rather than solidly in the middle of any one of them. So even before I knew about the injury, moving on, I gave this a D+. It was fucking shit. It was absolute shit. It was a disgrace to most of the people involved in this match. And it was an absolute. Now that I know about the injury as well, I'm going to add an addendum onto my notes and say this. You know that I've been a big fan of Dante Martin since I started seeing him AEW. I think he's a great high flyer. I think he has tremendous vertical leap that I'm just a fan of his, you know. His brother Darius Martin only just recently came off a really bad injury. This injury that this kid got in this match here is bad enough that it could mean the end of his wrestling career. Certainly, there's almost 100% chance that when he goes to his everyday doctor, they will tell him his wrestling career is over. That may not be true. I'm sure he can heal this injury and come back, but will he be the same? Will he have that vertical leap and that ability to have that explosive movement and leaping ability? We don't know anymore. And what was it all worth for this fucking Canadian destroyer off the ladder through the 4 tables that'll be forgotten about by the time WrestleMania is over, and which was a grain of sand in the beach of crazy fucking spots, bullshit contrived spots that we've already seen over these first several shows of WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's not going to be the same again, man.
Like this pushed me to
this was like Sid Vicious's broken fucking leg.
When this came on, when this match came on, bro, after I had to sit through the Daniel Garcia match, I was like, what? Like this pushed me to my limit. You know? This has just got no. This is not Ring of Honor. This is
No, it
this
wasn't.
is just AEW
Mm.
in a Ring of Honor ring.
Yeah. And it's like, like Penta should have just pushed him and have him go flying back first through the tables. Why would Penta want to take himself out of the match? Wouldn't you just want to stay there and then you and your partner can go up top and grab the belts? It was unnecessary, and now I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but I feel very, very bad for him. And I'm sure he was probably like, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure he agreed to the spot. I'm not putting the blame on anyone here. But man, like someone's going to say, guys, come on. Let's move on, bro. I don't want to talk about or think about it again. We've got it out of our system now. Ring of Honor Pure title is on the line. So after seeing something like that, now we are going to be sitting through a Wheeler Yuta match. He takes on Katsuyori Shibata. I'm still very bad at pronouncing these names. Bro, take it away. What did you think of the Pure Championship match?
Well, I didn't think much of it, to be honest with you. And I think, like, if this ladder match with all of its crazy bullshit that we just talked about was one extreme of the problematic Tony Khan booking, this boring as paint drying match between Wheeler Fuckhead and Shibata is the other extreme where it's just boring as crap. I just don't buy Wheeler in this tough guy role that they're presenting him as. Once again, they're trying to make him this Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, William Regal, Fit Finley, kind of wrestler like this, Billy Robinson type. And it doesn't work. It's not working right now in its current incarnation. They need to do something else with him while he builds size before they can try something like what they're doing. At least they actually did a bit of wrestling. That was a bit of fresh air after that bullshit ladder match. This was, however, supremely difficult for me to give a shit about. It's not that either guy is a bad wrestler in a vacuum. It's just this match has no heat on it. Similar matches in WWE that they try to do and present like they're big deals are also equally as annoying. They don't do them as often, but they still do them over there as well. P.S. Great fucking idea, Tony, how you dumb shit, having a former WWE and AEW champion come out as the manager for Wheeler Yuta on your Ring of Honor show and not advertise it ahead of time. And why is Jon Moxley, again, a former WWE and AEW world champion, seconding Wheeler Yuta in this mid-card match, which, as we'll see, he didn't even end up winning.
I didn't even know Moxley came out with him. I skipped all the entrances, so
this whole fucking thing bored the shit out of me. Yuta is just a jobber in my eyes with his look and his style. I don't care what anyone thinks about that. At least Shibata won the match because, my God, it would have been another rant had...
my gosh.
Had Wheeler Fuckhead won the match.
Oh, man, if he won, I would have been pretty upset.
Yeah. Okay, so I ended up giving it a D+. So that's 2 D+ matches in a row because of Tony's fuckheaded booking.
You know what? I actually kind of liked it. And I'll tell you why in a second. I was feeling very flat after the ladder match. I felt like, I don't know why I wasn't upset. That's so dramatic, but I was just like, I just started I'm just so sick of seeing the fucking crazy shit like that. And to see someone get hurt, I'm just like, I'm done with that shit. And I just felt like I just want to get this fucking thing over and done with now because I just felt like, fuck, man. Really, Yuta needs to get in the gym, man. Someone help him out. Come on, Claudio. You're ripped, bro. Get him in the gym with you and get him some fucking size. Make him look a bit more fucking of a threat. Shibata, in comparison, is a specimen compared to Yuta. And I love that fucking almost everything Yuta tried to do just had no effect on him. And Shibata was no-selling so much of it. That's where I got the enjoyment out. I got the enjoyment because someone actually sold it the way that it would be if it were real.
Appropriate,
right?
Yeah.
Not like Yuta taking Moxley to the limit and things like that. This went the way it should have gone. I did pop for Shibata. He was getting told off by the ref for kicking him in the corner. So he turns around to discuss it with the ref. And while he's doing it, he's kicking Yuta from behind with a mule kick. I thought that was very funny. But yeah, he just didn't cop any shit from him. And Yuta tried to do his little thing where he, you know, he goes through the bottom rope and spins through and comes back, and Shibata just fucking smacked him in the face and knocked him out on the way down. Didn't let him go down and just fucking nailed him, bro. Got the win. I thought it was cool. I like the Shibata guy, and I want to give Yuta some props because he made him like a fucking beast by allowing him to no sell all your shit and beat you so convincingly. As it should have been. So get Yuta into AEW, keep him over there. I don't think he suits Ring of Honor. Okay, we're getting to the main event of the evening, but before we get there, just so you know, bro, we were all told that Tony has a very important announcement coming on Dynamite this week. Before it was huge announcements, then the last one was a big announcement. But this one is a very important announcement. Just want to let you know that there's a difference. So don't know what that difference is, but can't wait to not tune in for that.
Yeah, the difference is I'll be ignoring something very important instead of ignoring something huge.
That's a good call, bro. And I bet you anything it's going to be something that could have been just done in a press release.
It'll be something that even when I read it, like when I read it on one of the wrestling sites the day after or whatever, after he finally makes the announcement, it'll still make me groan and roll my eyes even though I didn't watch it. Like I'll groan and roll my eyes on behalf of everyone that had to sit there and watch. Well, no one has to sit there and watch it, but everyone that will be. I mean, the 700,000 people that will be sitting there and watching it, you know.
All right, so let's get to the main event of the evening. Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. Claudio Castagnoli taking on Eddie Kingston. There was heat behind this one, bro, so I was interested.
Yeah.
The good thing about Eddie is that even if he has a real life heat with somebody, he's still professional enough to want to work with them and be able to work with them and even put them over. I can't believe, like, he might be a little nuts, but the guy's all class as far as I'm concerned. He will put shit aside to work an angle in a match, and I think that's really cool of him. I like the story of Claudio wanting to outclass, out-wrestle, out-condition him. And I think, what's his name? Caprice Coleman did a good job informing us of that as the match wore on. I loved when Caprice made that comment of, you know, Claudio stomped on Eddie's face pretty much, went for a pin, but immediately Eddie was gouging his eyes, so the pin wasn't going to happen. And Caprice said survival tactics were in place there because Eddie was trying to find anything and everything he could to stay in this and weather the storm. Kingston hit our final dive of the show, which was the 21st dive of the show. But at least that dive made sense. And I liked his selling of exhaustion. Really think the commentary team was great. Like, this is the best three-man team I think that I've seen in quite some time. I really dug it. And I hope it stays that way for the foreseeable future. Yeah, some more crazy shit with a gut wrench off the apron and all that. I don't need to keep mentioning every single little thing. I just really liked how when we built towards this finish, Eddie snaps after a neutralizer, cops an uppercut. There's a 2 count. I usually hate no-sell spots like that, but it's a sign of him digging real deep. But he didn't actually really have anything else other than that, which is why he copped the uppercut. If he fired back and did something huge, then that's where you lose me. But the fact is he dug deep, but that's all he had. That told a little bit of a nice story. I thought the finish was exceptional, and it left the crowd flat because a heel won. Because you know what they're like. They want their happy endings. Shibata comes back out to back up Eddie. I didn't think his theme song really suited the moment of making the save for him as Willie, Yuta, and Claudio were closing in on him. So it was a weird kind of moment, but I liked the shit Eddie said on the mic afterward because he always comes across very real. Great main event. Might have been match of the show for me, but Mark Briscoe and Samoa Joe did well for me as well. Bro, what did you think of the main event?
Well, somehow, even though we've had, I mean, 2 matches of baby shit previously, somehow was still looking forward to this when it finally started. Immediately it gets underway. Finally, a decent fucking fight. This is the ultimate elitist versus blue collar metaphor. We've got a refined person that speaks 5 languages, that's in exquisite condition, that is world traveled, has performed everywhere, commands a high salary, much higher than Eddie Kingston. And then we have this more blue collar, down to earth street fighter type, and it's a great contrast. I've seen him wrestle before. This is probably the best match these two have had thus far. Awesome to see that Cesaro spent a good portion of this match being the one who was selling, and he was damaged by Eddie Kingston's brawling and the fact that Kingston was willing to get down and dirty. The physicality of this match was fantastic. This feels like a good blend, like a contrasting blend of styles as well, because Cesaro can brawl, but he's much more of a smooth technical type of wrestler, whereas Kingston has much more of a feel of sort of a 70s brawler, where he's kind of standing there and throwing punches and knee strikes and kicks, and he's much more stubby and stocky than Cesaro, who's more lithe and has more of a reach. So in that contrast between them, which I brought up a couple of times, in every way affected the match, which is what makes it so interesting to watch, in my view, because the style and size difference between them affects everything both of them normally do in the course of a standard match for each other. Excellent false finish off of that back fist. That one got me. I thought that was fantastic. Eddie Kingston, even though Tony has fucked around with him for so long, is still really over with the audience, which is awesome to see. The gut wrench off the apron was absolutely badass. The last time I saw Cesaro wrestle Eddie Kingston was at a Chikara show in a much smaller building, and there was, how do I describe this? There was sort of a stage block where the curtain was for the entranceway, very small arena. Then there was one of those metal ramps that attaches normally to the back of a trailer to load bikes and so forth onto. And it was attached to the edge of the stage, and it was kind of a makeshift ramp that the wrestlers were walking on. And in that match, Cesaro grabbed Eddie Kingston, did that same gut wrench onto the edge of that metal ramp, so that Eddie Kingston, the middle of his back, landed on the corner of this metal ramp. And it looked fucked up. This looked kind of almost as fucked up as that, so I popped for the fact that he did 2 really brutal gut wrench suplexes to Eddie in both the times I've seen him wrestle now. Fucking the vicious side of Claudio, which we saw a lot, which I was just alluding to, was awesome to see in this match. The Ricola bomb into the Hurricanrana and reversal into the pin for the finish was absolutely awesome. Like when Kingston reversed that Ricola bomb into a Hurricanrana, I went because I did not expect that. That was wicked. Like, this is a rivalry I would like a rematch for. When I saw Wheeler Yuta come out to second Cesaro, I wrote, fuck off, Wheeler. Like, just go away. You're not needed here. This was a great main event. I gave it an A-.
Excellent, bro. Yeah, Willie Yuta coming out when Cesaro's there, if anything, makes the situation seem less threatening.
Makes it less threatening.
Even though Cesaro is already threatening.
Yeah.
He's threatening on this level, and he's still there. Willie Yuta comes out, and how is that possible? Because it's Wheeler fucking Yuta.
Yeah, you'd think it was one of the ring crew if he wasn't wearing a pair of ties.
No, you think it was probably the local barista at the local cafe who's somehow waltzed in and lost his t-shirt.
Yeah, he's looking for his name badge.
There we have it, bro. Our review here of Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor 2023. Juicy Boy, I need your rating out of 10 before we can sail off into the sunset.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that was, as we just said, Supercard of Honor 23. I gave it a 7.5 overall. It would have been higher, but there was too much contrived, over the top, breaking the suspension of disbelief BS, so it only gets a 7.5. Deal with it. This has been Ring of Honor. It is just the next one in what is going to be a smorgasbord of different reviews for different shows over this WrestleMania weekend. And yeah, glad to have been here to break this one down with you, my friend.
Yeah, cool, bro. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. And I'm giving it that rating just for Joe and Briscoe and the main event and Slim J. And you know what, Willow Nightingale as well, because I think she seems delightful. She seems like somebody that, you know, you can have a nice cup of tea with and have a chin wag with. But Jooseyboy, I appreciate you and your time here for our continued coverage here of WrestleMania weekend.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank all of you out there for joining us again for what is this, our third review of the weekend. We've got several more to go.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us here. I'm Karlifornia. This is Jooseyboy. And we will see you down the road. Thank you.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA network.